Sex and destruction. Freud's truth about drives. What drives you to love, to create, to build relationships? And what, on the other hand, sometimes leads you to self-criticism, anger, or even self-destructive behavior? What if I told you that, according to Sigmund Freud, two primordial invisible forces are constantly at war within each of us? One that pushes toward life, pleasure, and union, and another darker one that tends toward destruction and a return to nothingness. Sex and destruction? Today we discover the truth about drives according to Freud. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our journey to discover the secrets of the mind with Sigmund Freud. After discussing the Oedipus Complex, today we delve into a fundamental concept: drives. These aren't simple animal instincts, but rather complex psychic energies that move us from the depths of our being. Prepare yourselves, because understanding these two forces, Eros and Thanatos, can shed light on many aspects of your behavior, from your greatest passions to your most hidden shadows. And no, it's not just about sex. What is a pulse? The energy that moves us. First, let's clarify. What is drive for Freud? Think of it as a constant internal impulse, a kind of energetic motor that originates in the body but manifests in the mind. Each unit has a source, an area of the body, either a physical need. A push, the intensity of the energy. One goal, satisfaction, the release of this tension. An object, the person, thing, or activity through which the impulse seeks satisfaction. Freud initially spoke of self-preservation drives, hunger, thirst, and sexual drives. But later, especially after the horrors of the First World War, he developed a more radical and dualistic theory. And here is the first great force: Eros, the impulse of life. When we hear Freud and drives, many people immediately think only of sex. And yes, libido, the energy of Eros, is deeply linked to sexuality, understood in a broad sense as the search for pleasure, sensuality, and the desire for union. But Eros is so much more. It's the force that drives us to living and surviving, self-preservation, self-love. Creating connections, love for others, friendship, belonging. Unite and build, creativity, art, progress, family building, society, works. Seek pleasure and gratification in all its forms. It's the energy that says yes to life, that desires complexity, unity, and growth. Think of the passion for a hobby, the love for your children, the desire to learn new things, the satisfaction of a good meal. All of this, for Freud, is fueled by Eros. Thanatos, the death drive, the disturbing shadow. And now brace yourselves, for we enter the darkest and perhaps most controversial territory: Thanatos, the death drive. Freud, observing the repetition of self-destructive behaviors, large-scale human aggression such as wars, and even the tendency to repeat painful experiences, the repetition compulsion, postulated the existence of this second fundamental drive. The repetition compulsion, a central concept in psychoanalysis, describes the unconscious tendency to relive situations, thoughts, or behaviors, even if they cause suffering or provide no benefit. In practice, it's an impulse to act automatically and repetitively, often without realizing that we ourselves have determined our actions. Thanatos is therefore the impulse towards destruction and disintegration, breaking ties, destroying objects or relationships. Aggression, directed outward, anger, violence, sadism, or inward, fierce self-criticism, masochism, self-harming behavior, even the idea of suicide as an extreme manifestation. The return to the inorganic state, to absolute stillness, tendency to reduce all tensions to zero, which in its extreme is the return to non-life. Sounds scary, right? But for Freud, this impulse is an inalienable component of human nature. It's not necessarily bad in and of itself, but it's a force we have to deal with. The struggle and the continuous entanglement, neither one ever wins completely. The key thing to understand is that Eros and Thanatos never act in isolation. They are constantly intertwined, fused, and in conflict within us. Life itself is a compromise, a constant struggle between these two forces. Example: intense love, Eros, may contain elements of jealousy or possessiveness, Thanatos. Competitive sport, Eros, vitality, involves aggression and the desire to defeat one's opponent, Thanatos. Healthy development, for Freud, involves the ability to control the death drive thanks to Eros, perhaps by diverting it into socially acceptable forms, such as competitiveness in sports or at work, or integrating it into constructive activities. When Thanatos takes control in a destructive way, or when the two impulses are not well integrated, psychological problems can arise. Think about it for a moment. Your creativity, your desire to learn, to build something beautiful, Eros. That time you broke something in a fit of anger, or that merciless self-criticism that sometimes assails you, Thanatos. The passion you put into your work or your relationships, a blend where Eros dominates. Is procrastination causing you to sabotage your goals? Thanatos may have had something to do with it. Recognizing these forces doesn't serve to label us, but rather to better understand the complex dynamics that drive us. Fascinating and a little creepy, isn't it? At what times in your life do you most feel the pull of Eros, creativity and unity? And when, on the other hand, do we recognize the shadow of Thanatos, perhaps in the form of self-criticism or frustration? Share your thoughts kindly in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into the primordial energies of the mind and found some insights, a nice like would be appreciated. Subscribe and ring the bell, because in the next video we'll reveal the angel, the devil, and you. Who really wins in your mind? I'm waiting for you. Thank you for exploring these powerful, invisible forces with me. Remember, we are a beautiful and complex interweaving of light and shadow. See you next time. Hello.